county level, which is heavily dependent on this aid. It may be positive long term, but short term, what is the kind of pain we expect?
I think it's a very great, it's huge pain to some of, the areas we know, the Homa Bay, the areas which have a lot of challenges with TB, malaria, the mosquitoes, infections, also HIV/AIDS, areas, around the coast and so on. I think the most unfortunate bit is that the overdependency on aid, and especially on critical sectors. I don't believe that any foreigner should fund our health, should fund our security, and should fund our education. I don't believe that it's a sector we need to allow anybody into, because it's a tool of control. And this is why I don't believe that USAID will go away. It might come back with a different name, because it's also a serious soft power for America. They use it to exert their influence. I don't believe that, as we have seen, I think what Trump is trying to do is trying to disrupt, because he believed that USAID was part of funding some people who were trying to oppose him, to challenge his coming back to the presidency. Or USAID was used to that regard, to that end. And you have seen what he's doing in America. He's trying to ensure that he removes the leadership and so on, change them. But in Kenya here, we are going to feel it not only in the health sector, but also in the civil society, because USAID has been a very critical financier of freedom of expression in this country. I think that they have been also a very key financier of education programs in this country. I believe that the challenge now is on ARVs. The people are providing, I know a lot of NGOs, a place like Homa Bay and Siaya is greatly dependent on some of these ARVs to provide things like maternal care, HIV/AIDS, infected persons support and so on, to ensure that they are sustaining their medication and so on, and also to ensure to follow, because what we don't do well as a country is that we don't take health seriously, and we don't sustain the health activities of this country. You ensure that a patient is taken care of from end to end, to ensure that from the time they get out of the hospital, there's a follow-up by the volunteers or the medics, to ensure that they're taking their medication, they are also not infecting each other. If people are a discordant couple, which means that one is infected, one is not infected, the other doesn't infect, and they continue to even have kids in that regard. I think some of these programs are very critical, but we need to ask ourselves, why have we allowed foreigners to fund our health activities in this country? Why is the financing of health still in the hands of? We need to win ourselves off dependency on.
Yet you still speak of hope that they may not be gone forever. They'll still find a way of coming back. Should we really count on that, or should we be actually preparing for the kind of living that you're talking about, that we should be taking care of ourselves?
I think we need to take care of ourselves. I think health, it pains me to see us dependent on health. When I see a donor bringing in an ambulance, I say, what is this? When I see a donor donating to police vehicles, I say, what is this we are allowing ourselves to? Okay. I think if we can cut funding even on some, and we let them fund something else, but health, security, and education, I don't think that anybody should fund.
Yet the reality on the ground is totally different, Bwana Susion. Even when it comes to education, despite heavy funding, despite education being the highest spend in the budget, we still rely a bit on this donor funding.
And that is why we must vacate dependency on donor funding. Donor dependency syndrome has been the biggest undoing of post-colonial Africa, not only Kenya. And